Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Nerdy for 30, the podcast where comedian Tim Kack and I talk about nerdy-ish things for 30-ish minutes. Today, we are talking about Bahubali 2, the conclusion.
The
Uh,
conclusion. There's no more after this.
there's
It's all
allegedly no
done.
more after this. Tim, off the cuff, do you think they're ever going to make another Bahubali?
I think the story has come full circle. I'm so wet and satisfied after that. After that final chapter, it's all good. I would have expected like 5 more minutes at the end because it just kind of cuts off. It just yes. There's some moments in this movie, and I don't remember this from RRR, but definitely the two Bahabalis, where
Mhm.
like some cuts are just so rough, and they'll be like in a scene with one tone, and then just like they cut like a full second too early to like another scene that's like completely different. And even the end of the movie, he's like, he gets up and he's like, yeah, so everyone's going to be treated well now. And then it's just over. And then the movie's over. And then we just see footage of the worst CGI gold head, like going on an adventure on its own. It's like exploring the continents. It looks like something from a kid's show where it's like, where's the golden head? And it's like visiting like all the different states in the union. It's like here, or like, here's the golden head in Paris. Can you find it? Here's the golden head on the waterfall. Can you find it? Here's the golden head, floating down a river, all peaceful. It was like very strange. Um,
Dude,
Other than that,
there was one part with the golden head where it was going down and it was like a really dark picture of a waterfall, like dark stock footage of a waterfall, and the golden head was falling in front of it. And then it wasn't clear based on how out of place the golden head looked, how deep in that stock footage the golden head was supposed to be. So I just, in order to give it a break, assumed this is in front of everything else I'm seeing. But then they went out of their way to have the golden head like bonk off of part of the waterfall.
yes.
And I burst out laughing. It was completely unnecessary. It would have been like way better to, you know, maintain the illusion if they didn't do that. But oh,
The head looked so good. It was the goofiest, fakest part of the whole movie. It's such a hilarious note to end on.
I
And
know.
then somehow it ends up at the bottom of the waterfall next to the like statue that he moved,
But not
which
on it.
right, I'm unsure what the symbolism is here, right? Because it's a good symbol that the statue you put under the waterfall, it's getting blessed over and over again by the waterfall. So now
Mhm.
this head is there too, and it's also getting blessed. Is it like a tongue-in-cheek thing? Like now it's just a statue at the bottom? Are they implying that the bad uncle's like got a baby down there who's going to be inspired by the head and like climb up the waterfall again? I don't know. I just it felt like a kind of a weak random ending for
That's
this.
what I thought we were gonna get. I thought it was gonna be like a throw forward to, a secret like Bahubali, the epilogue, and we were maybe gonna see like I legit thought maybe we were gonna see someone emerge from the head. Like when it comes to SS Rajamouli, nothing. I put nothing past this man. Like I will follow this guy to the ends of the earth. He could do I was thinking about this while I was watching this movie. I thoroughly enjoyed the conclusion. I think overall I liked the conclusion more than the beginning. And between the Bahubali movies and RRR, he has made a genuine fan out of me. Where if I ever see that he has another movie coming out, I am there. There have been so many, Quentin Tarantino movies that I haven't seen just because it's like I generally know what I'm getting from this. Same deal with like even some of my favorite directors like Wes Anderson, Edgar Wright. They've got a couple movies I haven't seen yet. Rajamouli, I am there opening night. Like, I want to see whatever the hell this guy has. It's going to be great. It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be epic. It's going to be incredible.
Same. I am a fan. This guy is a genius, I think. He's so good at capturing the feeling that I can only akin, I feel like I'm going to get made fun of for this, to a Fast and Furious movie or like an anime or something like that, where like their anime is good at building these moments where you're like, whoa, so and so did this, so and so shows up, and you're like, whoa, oh shit, this is crazy. Like there's these moments where you go like, oh shit, or like wrestling, like, oh shit. There's like the moments in Fast and Furious where The Rock pulls out his gun, holds it to someone's head and says, this changes everything. Where you're just like you're like, fuck yeah, I'm like just punching the air. I've just like fist punched in a Fast and Furious movie before. I'm not saying all of them, they've fallen off a bit, but the best Fast and Furious is akin to like Bahubali, where like there's moments I think I was smiling during like the whole end of the movie.
I
I
know.
was I was just smiling and I was so happy and I was happy watching the ending of this movie. It felt great. I felt incredible. It was so cool and fun. And God, even at the end when he's got the gloves made of chains, I
Oh
was
my
like, this is the most
God.
badass thing I've ever seen. It was so cool, so incredible. He did things that I've never thought of before. I mean, he's a genius. He is an absolute genius for doing this stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah. He balanced so many characters. He balanced so many like complicated plot lines and stuff, but he makes it clear. At no point was I ever unsure what was going on. You know exactly how these people relate to each other. Once, obviously, we get through like the part in the beginning where we're not sure exactly who is related to who yet and all that. Um, but in this one, they're able to play that up so beautifully. And it's also not like we just got straight to the big final battle in this one. First, Katapa tells an adorable story about how Bahubali Sr. uh seduced Devasena. And I mean it's awesome. It's like there are like two separate rom-coms built into these action movies between the beginning and the conclusion. And the beginning was really sweet because I really do think that Prabhas has this like, I forget if I brought this up on the previous one. We were trying to talk about like, Lauren and I were thinking about like what Hollywood actor has like a similar energy to Prabhas. And I think the closest I could find is like Jason Segel, where he's like a big dude, but he's got like, there's just a kindness that reads from him. And there's like a fun and a warmth from him that reads. And that's definitely what I get from like the younger Bahubali, like the present dude Bahubali. And I think, you know, the older, like Bahubali Senior, is definitely more, he's a little bit more of a rogue. He's a little bit more of a, he's a little bit more dangerous. And
He is a little more dangerous, yeah.
the first movie, the beginning, younger Bahubali, he's like, oh yeah, I'm hiding in this tree and I'm just going to kind of like trick you with the snake and then paint something on your arm. And like, that's the extent of his tricksterism. And the older one is like, I'm going to go to such extreme lengths so that you do not know that I am a god walking among humans. Just to kind of get a feel for you and just this whole place. Like, it was so fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. I think I liked part two better than part one. I was thinking like Chris Hemsworth or something is kind of close to that. Like it's got to be a
Yeah.
Marvel guy. It's got to be like a Paul Rudd or something like that, where there's scenes where they're like shirtless and jacked and super strong, and then also scenes where you're like laughing at them. Like I mean, these guys are so talented. The lead dude is so talented. He's amazing. What the fuck was I just thinking? What were we just talking about?
We're talking, both of our brains have been completely destroyed by colds that we've had. Right now, if you can't tell listening to this, I am under the weather. I'm also, if you're watching the
Both
video,
stuffy and gross.
my eyes have not stopped leaking for like 2 days. My eyes and my nose have been leaking. So it looks like I'm just wiping like tears of joy away when I'm talking about Bahubali. And that's because it is. My eyes have not stopped leaking because 2 days ago is when I finished this movie.
I've been on the Dayquil. I've had that Dayquil brain for weeks now, and it's not going anywhere. That I think I found it. I like the first one. The second one I think I liked more because to your point, I kind of like Bahubali, the old one, better. I think he's a more fun character. He's more gregarious. He like has changed the world. He is just like a god. It is like gods going to live amongst men, and it is fascinating. He gets kicked out of the castle, and he just goes and lives with the people and solves all their problems in like a very short period of time. It's like he's like building machines for them and stuff. And some part of me was like, if he could have done this the whole time, Why didn't he fucking do it before? He should, like, he's a royal, he's of the people. Like, you couldn't solve the people's problems before, you know? I got little nits to pick in this movie. The story is goofy and kind of dumb, but it's great and it's lovable and sweet. And then you get back to Bahubali Jr. and he's about to fight this war. And by the ending of the second one, I wasn't really interested in Junior.
Uh-huh.
But then after watching the whole story of Bahubali Senior, by the time we got back to Junior, I was so fucking pumped and like ready for this revenge story. And the tone of Junior, I'm just referring to him as Senior and Junior from now on.
I think it's
Junior
easier.
Junior changed. His tone changed, and he wasn't just like fun, like we'll see what happens. He was like, I'm here to kick ass. I'm gonna take names. I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna get shit done, which I thought was more fun. So like the character was so much better in part two, and the conclusion, it was incredible. I liked it.
I think part of that might just be because the first movie, it's like, what kind of movie is this? And then once we hit the history of Senior and all that, it's like, oh, this is what they are. And then I feel like the conclusion is much more locked into that, even though they do kind of, go on the rom-com tangent for a while, they come back and again, there's this giant epic battle. So yeah, I feel like that definitely helped the conclusion. Um, I also wanted to bring up, you kind of mentioned it too, like seeing the tone shift and like getting that backstory on Senior retroactively makes the beginning a better movie. So like the stuff that they do in the conclusion when you find out Senior's history, it makes it so much more fun if you go back to the beginning and when people see him and they immediately just like look completely shocked and fall to their knees and go Bahubali. It's so satisfying knowing like, yeah, this guy looks just like his dad. And you've seen all the incredible things that his dad did. And it makes complete and total sense that people would be like, oh my God, this God has been just reincarnated on Earth. Like, how is he back?
It does. It's like Herculean, like his
Mm.
efforts. It's like the 12 labors or something. Even the chains, that felt very like Hercules to me. I mean, this is a mythical figure. These are gods battling it out. And it's so good to think about. The fight scene at the end, I
Uh-huh.
think I've seen it. For a second, I think I've seen it before on like Reddit or something where it was just like, like Indian action movies are crazy. We got to start doing this stuff. It was like one of those little like clips, and it
Mhm.
was them launching these guys from the trees. And when
Yeah,
they did it
dude.
in the movie, I was like, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen. And it was so cool. And the shots they got with it were so fucking amazing. It was like they were like anime, like I keep thinking anime or like comic book panels or something like that. He would freeze it. It was like 300, but without like all the, like the filter on top of it. It was just they were freezing him in these scenes of just badassery where like an explosion of people like rocketing up behind him, like good guys, bad guys, the carts flying towards each other. There's a moment when they like the good guy and or Junior and his uncle have like their spears and they're throwing them at each other, and that shot was like incredible the way everything's like moving around. I mean,
Oh,
it was jaw-dropping stuff. I think my mouth was open the whole time. I I fucking loved it. It was so crazy. It was so crazy, man. I kind of wish there was like, and even at the beginning of that fight scene, I was a little disappointed when they go and they're like storming the village and seeing them come over the hill. Awesome. Very cool. And then the fight scene starts and I'm like, this is kind of like the same as the first one where it's like just a fight in the desert and it's like I don't know, it looks the same visually. It's not as
mhm.
exciting. I wish they would give us something else. And then they start launching dudes through the air on palm trees. And I was like, fuck yes, this is amazing. I love it. Everything I wanted has been answered. God, it was so cool. And honestly, the guy who Deva or the uncle, uh he was great. He was so good. That actor was like incredible. I thought he was awesome. He's jacked out of his mind. He's very convincing in all these things. He seems like evil. Uh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he was a great villain. You great villain. I mean, I also speaking of like shout outs, I wanted to shout out Kumara in this movie. Incredible comedic character. Um, Absolutely incredible. Here, let me pull up. He
It's
was
Kimura.
in
I see
he
him,
was
and I
like
mean,
the prince that was also trying to like he was also vying for Devastatus love.
oh yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
Um,
he was very funny and very just a great character. It was really
oh
good.
my God, dude. The scene where he thinks that he split the log, like Bahubali lets him think he split the log, and then he's trying to redo it that night. And he's like, why is this not working? And then all the like maidens come in and they're like, hey, yeah, we want to see you split that log again. And he's like, oh, wish I could. It'd take way too long to get a log. And they're like, oh, there it is. You want to go grab it?
There's the log. Can you go get that? The scene where
Oh, so
Bahubali,
good.
like, where he's in with all the women, and then these bad guys break in, and Bahubali breaks in the window, and he, like, Bahubali, it feels like could effortlessly save all of them, but instead he's like, you know what? You figure this out, and then he leaves, and I was like, whoa, you gotta stay, man. You can't trust it. Just like that's like six guys. You can take six guys instantly. It's nothing for you. But then he somehow inspires this guy to like be a warrior and stand up for himself, and it ends up being like a very very convincing arc.
That's what
And
makes
just
him a great leader, man. He knows when to delegate in a way that's going to elevate.
that's on a poster like in his office, which is just a rock quarry by the end of the movie. Delegate to elevate. With a cat just like hanging from a tree.
Oh my
It
God.
The plot gets convoluted, I would say. It all makes sense in hindsight, but it was very complicated. And I thought people's um like motivations kind of flip-flopped a little bit, or maybe not. It just seemed like the plot got condensed to like a very short period of time where like all
Mhm.
the intricacies and nuance of this happen, which was interesting. I don't know if I loved that part. I was a little bit like, okay, so what does this mean? What are the ramifications of this, etc. I think though there's like the wedding thing, which is weird. His brother's trying to steal his wife, and then there's a weird betrayal thing where the father with the messed up hand is like suddenly turning over a new leaf, but then it turns out he's actually evil. And then the mother is like casting out her own son, but then somehow she realizes she messed up. Like there were just
Mhm.
these revelations that felt very, I guess, back to the musical point. It just felt very a little artificial and a little bit like a musical where it's like, well, now I feel this, like you ordered for your son to be killed. Now your son's been killed, and now you feel bad. Like yeah, there's a whole range of emotions that you should be feeling before you have your son killed, like
Oh, for sure. That I
it's
will say
complicated.
though, it's definitely complicated, but props to that moment where Katapa wipes Bahubali's blood on uh oh, what's her name? Sivagami's hand so that
Yeah.
she has his blood literally on her hands. Love that. Big moment, big swing, totally there for that. But I agree. The twists with the oh my God, I'm like
The
I
names
have
are very
cold brain.
tough. There's so many people. there's so many characters, and I'm not necessarily used to the names, but they're
I
great.
really don't want to mess them up. Yeah.
Yes. Sivagami is the mother figure, right? The
Huh.
royal queen, and she declares that Bahubali Jr. is going to be the king. She has a very uh complicated arc with that, but I also think it makes sense. It didn't at first, but thinking about it, I thought it made sense, right? She has been the queen mother this whole time. Her word is it. That's it. She's in charge. She's the boss. She has both of these kids. She's nursing both of these kids. They say no, what's going on? And she's like, no, this is my rule. And it feels like she's a very gregarious, like loving, nurturing mother figure. But in hindsight, she might be that, but she is also in charge, and
Yeah.
she wants power, She likes being in power. She could have given it up. She has not. She took the throne. Her word is law. She demands to be respected. And it's not hubris. It's like another. It's like she is full of herself to a degree that clouds her judgment, where she is putting her own pride over the life of her son in a way that felt jarring to do, but also makes sense when you look at her whole life has been being a goddess. She's been treated like a goddess who can do no wrong. So even in the face of her wrongness, she can't accept that until literally her son's blood is wiped on her hands. It's fascinating. I mean, the more I think about these characters, like sitting after the fact, the more complicated each of them is, and the more intricate it is to me.
And I mean, I would say they all have very clear like character alignments on the chart, you know? Like Katepa is like an extreme example of lawful good, or I guess
Mm.
lawful neutral, because he'll do anything. Like he will do whatever it is to abide by the law that he has sworn himself to. Like everybody is very fixed in their dedications, which is interesting to see because I feel like, the more common thing that we see with characters is people being very like morally flexible. So it's like, well, I was instructed to do this, but clearly I'm not going to do this. Like clearly I'm not going to kill this guy that's like is like a surrogate son to me. So I'm not going to kill him. But Katapil's like, I swore an oath. I got to do whatever they tell me to do. They told me to kill this guy that's like a son to me. I got to kill him. Like,
Yeah.
it's just treated like a foregone conclusion, which is just interesting to see people behaving within such like tight restrictions.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's characters like that. I'm sure people listening are saying there's a bunch of those characters out there, but I don't think it's a character you see that often because it's
Mm.
not, I don't know. It's not necessarily the American ideal, right? Which I think maybe makes this like a fun contrast into like Indian film, right? Is like Americans are like, freedom, whatever. I'm gonna do the right thing no matter what. I'm not a part of something. I'm a unique individual doing this crazy stuff. I need to stand out. They told me to do something. I say I spit in their face. I say fuck you, and I go and I do it. I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin hitting my boss with the stunner. Like that's America. And the idea that we have a character, I don't know what it would be like to see a character like an American film be just like such an absolute rule follower, but also a good person the whole time, right? Like
Yeah.
if somebody really follows the rules in in America, it's they're a villain, it's bad, or the art or the fact that they have to adhere to that is a weakness, right? That they need to overcome. But in this case, he doesn't overcome his loyalty. He just, I don't even know what his arc is because he has faith. He believes in this thing. He commits what he views as a sin, but like something he has to do. And then he gets, I guess he's rewarded for his faith in the gods. Maybe that's his thing. Is he has faith and he believes and they understand him. And even Bahubali Senior, when he is stabbed and taken advantage of, it doesn't seem like he hates this guy. He
No.
and the guy gives him his sword and sits him up and he mourns him and they both understand each other and it's beautiful. It's a weird, I don't know, system, like hierarchical system that everybody adheres to, everybody understands, everybody respects, and it isn't the problem, you know?
Yeah.
It's not the villain in this, Captain America fights the government, right? Like, Jason Bourne runs away from the FBI. Like all these guys are fighting the man, and these people are all adhering to the system while fighting within its rules, I guess. It's just, yeah, it's complicated and interesting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hero wise too, there's a lot of people that view the fact that Spider-Man and Batman absolutely will not kill as their greatest weaknesses. I
Yeah.
mean, Batman especially, the common refrain that I see all over the internet is like, isn't Batman culpable for all the deaths at the hand of the Joker when the Joker just keeps escaping from Arkham and Batman won't kill him? Um, So it's kind of an interesting thing there. Like that's people are like confused when American heroes follow the rules. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It feels like, yeah, it's, it's the cop putting his badge in his desk and saying, tonight we're not cops. We got to go avenge our friends. It's like, I guess that's a bad, that one hasn't aged as well.
Yeah, that one that
That
one's
trope
just
hasn't
clear
aged
bad
as
now.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But cops should be following the rules pretty much all the time. I'll say it all the time. And, but I was thinking even like soldiers or something like we
Oh,
did
that's a
that.
good one.
Um, Gosh, we did that like Tom Clancy movie on the pod like a while ago
Yeah.
with Michael B. Jordan, which was hit or miss, but it's still an agent who is, abandoning the system and going out and like doing himself,
Hmm.
seeking justice on his own. And that's very much not what this is. Um, I don't know if I understood this part specifically, but the mother does a tribute or something where she has fire on her head and she has to walk unobstructed like 3 times around the temple.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that at all? Because it seemed like something that was simultaneously incredibly significant, and but then I'm not sure why it's significant. It's like, oh, if she finishes around the temple, then she has immortality or something, but it's like, but she doesn't actually have immortality. So it seems symbolic, but yet it's still something that needs to happen in the middle of a war, and it's essential that we get through this now. It was very cool and very exciting, and it added tension to the scene, and I was like, oh my god, what's she gonna do with this fire bridge? But I also thought to myself, like, why is this happening? Like, what's the point of this? And I just wasn't clear on it. I thought it'd be interesting to learn more about.
Yeah. Same. Didn't know it was happening. Very cool scene. When they light that bridge on fire, wow.
It's very cool. And then the pit at the end where they put the guy in with all the sticks after watching her collect sticks for all those
Oh my
years.
God. It
It's
was
awesome.
it feels really weird to say that scene was satisfying because it's a person that's being burned alive. But like actually getting the payoff on all the sticks that she put in that vat. You called it. You were like, he's going in the stick pit. He went in
He's
the stick pit.
100% going in the stick pit. And he did, and it was great, and it was satisfying. You got any beefs with this?
Oh boy. Let's see. I think I don't know if this qualifies as a beef, but this is about the closest that I have. Is I think that both of these movies would have done really well as like a 6 episode miniseries. Like
Mm,
they are, we've talked a lot about the length of RRR, and RRR has like a clear midpoint where the intermission went. That should be experienced in one day. Like that is best consumed as one piece. These two movies together, I feel like there are enough different breaks that I'm just interested to see if there would have been a way to like or reorganize the set piece to make it like 6 shorter things, but also make sure that each one of the 6 has a good mix of everything you're getting. So like each one has to have at least one like fucking great dance number, and each one has to have like a really cool fight scene. I think you can probably divvy it up like that. And I think that would increase this movie's consumption. Debatable whether it would be better. I don't know that better is something that you can really argue objectively, but I'm just interested. I would watch that cut. If they released a miniseries cut of this, I would watch it. What do you
I
think?
feel like if it was a mini series, each episode would be so drastically different that it might be jarring. There'd be one episode where they're all dancing. Either you try and create a miniature version of this in each episode, or
Mhm.
there's one episode where it's just a rom-com, one episode where they're just dancing, one episode where like, they're fighting like a full-scale war. I think it could be pretty interesting. Excuse me. Time to drop 2 of the facts I learned on this movie.
Hell
This was
yeah.
at the time the most expensive Indian film ever made at the time it was created. right? So budget wise, you're talking about how crappy the CGI is. They were still throwing everything at the wall for this. So keep that in mind. And then it is still the highest grossing film in India. So it's ahead of RRR, and then KGF Chapter 2 is in front of it. It's doing better than Avatar The Way of Water over there. All right. So this is still a big deal. So it did really well. And so it's hard to argue with that success, Kevin. You're trying to revamp the most successful movie in India of all time. Give me a break. 2 10-part television series. Whatever. It's perfect just now. It is.
2 10-part. I didn't say anything like that. I said
In my head,
6 episodes.
6 episodes. It could be 6 episodes. That could work.
God. Dude, I think so. If you have the budget pulled up right now, I actually looked at this too. I think the budget for either the beginning or the conclusion was 69 million.
I think that's RRR because the budget for this one was 37 million, 250 core, I guess is how they say it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I looked it up though, and American films with similar budgets to 69 million. 2 of them that I found were Nope, I guess was a $69 million movie, and Mystery Men from the year 1999, I think.
Yeah.
So just interesting to see. You know, I feel like a lot of that money went to the cast in both of the American examples.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's more expensive to make things over here for sure. And yeah, it is interesting what all they did with 37 million. They made this whole movie, and it's amazing, and it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And here that would be like a Blumhouse movie. You know?
You'd be in a hotel room the entire time, and it would be like, the big twist would be that it would go from day to night.
Yeah. Okay. Now that we're at the end, rapid fire question. Kevin, is Bahubali 2, the conclusion, better than Bahubali 1, the beginning?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Okay. We'll update the rankings. Any last second thoughts about Bahubali before we wrap it up?
Last thing we got. We never talked about the title cards for these 2 movies. The title cards are the 2 best title cards I've ever seen in my entire life. The first one, I thought the movie had started, and we were getting like a history about like how some great cosmic thing was crafted, and then they pan out and it's the title card of the fucking movie. I mean, get me fired up in 5 seconds or less. So that was great. And then this one the conclusion had a straight up Bond intro.
It did.
It was like one kaleidoscope shot away from just like being a straight up James Bond movie intro. I adored it. These movies, huge hits. Love them. Highly recommend it to anybody.
They're the best. You got to watch them. You got to watch them. They're on Netflix. They're incredible.
This is my last thing. Give Rajamouli Secret Wars. Let this man do Secret Wars for Marvel.
Oh my God.
I'm dead
Give him
serious.
anything.
This is not hyperbole. He probably should have gotten the Thunderbolts movie first to like try something out. But like once they proved that he could do it with the Thunderbolts movie, this dude would knock a Secret Wars movie out of the fucking park.
He needs to do an American movie. I mean, he needs to do a Marvel movie. He'd be so good at it. It's the only thing that makes sense for his like gigantic scope and vision. It'd be amazing.
Oh, God, it'd be great. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back here next week with Knock at the Cabin, not Knock at the Cabin Door. They left door off the title of the movie. I don't know why. I don't know why they did a lot of things in that movie, but that's a little bit of a preview. We'll see you back here then. Till then, stay nerdy, everybody. Bye.
Stay nerdy. Bye. It's a little Mandela effect with the door.
Yeah.
In that movie.
I could have sworn it had door on there.
Could have sworn.